job. Tear down this wall.
Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.
Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians. Governments you don't always have to say a word. They're powerful. How come you if either one? Either one from you.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up,
T-minus 1 minute.
live out the true meaning of its creed.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
T-minus 50 seconds.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
Every dollar released from taxation
T-minus 40 seconds.
that is spent or invested will help create a new job.
Chivalry is dead, and women killed it.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines.
T-minus 20 seconds.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground and in the streets.
10, 9,
We shall fight
8,
in the hills.
6,
We shall never surrender!
3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Problem Solver Politics, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Problem Solver Politics Livestream. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're actually going to talk about some of the happenings, the things going on, the what to do around town. I was called a bon vivant today, Cody. Do you know what that means?
A bon vivant.
I had to look it up.
There's an episode of Frasier where they're talking about a detective and they referred to him as a bon vivant sleuth. So,
Okay, well, apparently in French it means a man about town.
okay, makes sense.
So if you're a bon vivant, it means you're a social person that cruises around town.
There we go.
So-
a couple of things I want to get to quickly.
Okay, hit it.
First of all, we have Dino Manrique from the Philippines saying hello. Very awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you for hanging out. And then also Sly Cactus just joined, so thank you very much as well, man.
Oh,
yeah,
hey,
very
Sly
cool.
Cactus joined?
Yeah.
Finally. Awesome. That guy
Very
makes
cool.
funny comments. Or that
Yeah.
girl. I don't know. It's a girl
And
cactus.
also shout
maybe.
out to Dino there from Philippines. I always love seeing people listening and checking out from other countries. And one of those fun things when we're doing, I don't know if you guys even know we do this. I mostly just do it as a habit now. But the audio versions of our episodes get uploaded as podcasts on most major podcast platforms. Anyway, one of my favorite things about that is just looking through all the different various countries people have listened from. And very cool. Always very cool to see.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So, I'm trying to read some of these comments. Zilix says DNC, it lets Biden in on the skin or else it gets Trump again. I don't get that reference. But whatever, that's cool. Sly Cactus, welcome. He says, I finally did it. Loving that. And Dino says, thanks for the shout out, Cody. Hey, we actually have been really amazed by the international nature of our audience. In the early days when we were recording at nighttime after me and Cody got done with work, you'd be back from the radio station and I would be back from my travails out in the world. And we had a lot of New Zealanders. Do you remember that? A lot of New Zealanders would comment in the early days. I guess, I don't know, with the times different or something like that. We had a lot of New Zealanders. You don't remember
but
that?
we always uploaded in our AM.
Yeah, I know, but for some reason we had a lot of participation from the New Zealanders. And we had some from Laos.
Even
Do you
though
remember that?
we recorded that night, we'd still upload in the mornings.
Yeah, but when we live streamed.
Yeah, we never live stream at night. That's not what we're doing right now.
Okay. Well, I just remember there's a lot of New Zealanders.
I'm just saying, we've always had a lot of people across the world. It's very cool. Shout out. We love all of our international fans. That's all I'm saying. It's always been that way.
Yeah. So, random user says, where do you guys lean politically? I don't even know how to answer that question some days. And Zilix, problem solver politics.
I'll tell you what, I lean politically, we should blow up the White House with everyone inside of it. That's where I lean politically now.
Yeah. This was not an endorsement. You did. You were responsible and you alone.
Allegedly.
No, I'm just kidding.
Imagine if it
Allegedly.
happened. Remember Independence?
You were just quoting Madonna.
What happened
That's
to the
all
White
you were
House on
saying.
Independence Day? Again, I haven't seen that movie in a while. I remember what happened to the White House in that movie. Maybe we should do that with everybody inside of it. And then, I don't know, elect new people. What's that? What happened in that Kiefer Sutherland show? The new one? What's the thing that happened in that show? Designated Survivor?
Designated Survivor.
Anyone remember what happens in that show? I'm just saying. What if that happened in our world? Just saying.
Yeah, so you and Madonna. Apparently you're on the same train. You know, do you remember when she got busted last year for her comments about that?
Someone just said Cody confirmed Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
Never known Al Qaeda, but hey, I'm just saying.
He takes more of the Guy Fawkes approach, I think is what he's saying.
I'm just saying.
Guy Fawkes in.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Remember Independence Day? It's a cool movie, huh? Haven't seen that one in a while. Not Bill Paxton. Bill Pullman's in it.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised Bill Paxton isn't in Independence Day. It feels like the kind of movie Bill Paxton would have been in. But I just say, remember that movie? Wasn't that crazy when that happened? The thing?
Yeah, so T-Dot says Cardin is a right winger and Cody seems to be a moderate. I don't know if that describes Cody as moderate. He's got some ideas that are definitely just his own. And a right winger, unless you can actually define right winger. I think people just think right winger when they think not on the left, but whatever. Are you two going to vote for Biden or no? Hell no, I think is the term that I would say. But he reassures us, Will does, that no judgment. He is just curious. So
and Biden, I mean, dude, I legitimately believe he has mental faculty problems. That's why I can't vote for him. Like, I legitimately believe that. Like, when I see him, I'm like, oh, he doesn't look all there. Like,
I honestly, I don't think I'll have an opportunity to.
So I question the mental stability. Because what about Trump? Look, I'm not voting for either of them. Okay, so I'm not voting for either of those people, especially not Biden. You could say Trump might be like dumb or crazy, or want to say. I think he's more mentally together than Biden at this point. I really do. You can argue if he's doing the right things with his mentally togetherness, but he's more there than Biden. Biden legitimately looks gone sometimes. It's crazy. I mean, you're just staring at him and it's just nothing there. So, and then also I want to get to Adam Duffy, $2 super chat. Said, I can't figure out how to join the channel.
You know, I swear we needed like an instructional video on that.
I think it is. I don't know about your particular. I know it's like if you don't have a PayPal account, maybe it doesn't show up. Or no. I think it's the join should. All I know is I've heard people say in certain countries with certain account, the way their accounts are set up, the join button won't appear for them. I don't know all the ways around, unfortunately, but there should be a join button. And you just click on that.
Yeah, so T-Dot is calling you out, Cody, and it's pretty funny. He says, damn, Cody, I really just told random user that you were a moderate, and the first thing you say is we should blow up the White House.
Well, honestly, I'm not a moderate. I'm not a partisan on either. I don't like the government at all.
My boy's in there.
I find that they're all reprehensible, and I hold them all accountable for a lot of stuff that goes wrong in this country because it's always their fault, a lot of it. A lot of it's ran by more. I don't know. I am very... And I'm not like anti-government as a concept, but I'm definitely anti the people that are elected to represent us in our country today. Anti them, 1000%. Government's can work. Now, that being said, my preferred form of government, if you really want to get down into it, would be something akin to a monarchy, but it's just, I don't know. That's me personally. You're not going to see me out there trying to tear down democracy. I'm just saying, if you let people vote, you get a lot of people in office that are just liars. Why do you think there's been con men, swindlers, whatever you want to call them, for thousands of years? Because it works and you can do it. And you can convince a lot of people that you feel and you mean and you're going to do one thing and just not do it. People have been doing it forever. So
are you
that
advocating
makes up
for,
a ton of the Congress, ton of the House. Everything is made up of con men and liars because it's a real thing. I'm not saying maybe con men and liars, but it's a real thing. Like, you're able to influence people and convince people of stuff, and there's people who take advantage of this, and there always has been.
And see, that's actually
why they wouldn't be in office. I don't understand.
That's the biggest reason why I actually think less people should vote. I simultaneously want more people to vote in the sense that I want more people to be civilly engaged and in the know and actively participating. But at the same time, I know the vast majority of voters are just idiots. And that's why I completely oppose ballot harvesting and mail-in voting, because I've come from countries where voting is mandatory. You may not realize this, Cody, but in Argentina, it's required that you vote. On voting day, they actually kind of
for who? It's required you vote for who? No, who do you have to vote for? I mean,
no. You just have to vote. Okay. And so you have all these idiots. And what's funny is you have to return to the precinct you were born in or something. It's kind of like loosely based off of the biblical idea that you were taxed where you were born. So like if you're registered in the city that you grew up in or something, you'll meet a lot of people on election day that are actually going back to a different city to vote. And so anyway, in Argentina, you have to vote. And I can't tell you how many times on that day I heard people say, I don't care. They're all stupid. Who should I vote for? Who are you voting for, Frank? And they would just go vote. And so you would just have this, not even a mobocracy based off of the rage of the people, because at least the rage of the people is united. You know, it was literally just like who could buy the most amount of protesters to make the other people look good, and then who could buy the most of afiches, which is like those poster boards that they stick on the walls with glue. And that's how you become a politician or maintain power in the democracy known as Argentina. And that's really the way we're headed.
Hey, remember?
With all
hold
this
on,
mail-in
hold
voting.
on. Do you guys remember when out here in California we elected a representative, I believe, who goes by the name Hunter Duncan? I believe that was his name. Was Duncan.
Yeah. He's your boy with the...
I got to bring it up.
He's your boy with the vape pen.
He's the vaping congressman. Anyway, what pisses
Actually,
me,
now he's the vaping felon.
Yeah, now he's the vaping former congressman. Right, but I mean, I'll run the video. It's a legendary video. As far as it's a legendary video for me, it was Duncan Hunter. I want to call Hunter Duncan. There we go.
Dude, Marianne H is your girl right now,
there
bro.
There we go. The vaping congressman himself. We elected this guy. He spent, I think it was 5 figures, at least 4, if not 5 figures on video games from his campaign funds. Okay, this guy got elected and served in California.
That's California Republicans
no
right
offense
there,
to any
dude.
state, but I'm just saying a lot of reps in California. A lot of us get elected, but these people keep getting elected, and they always will. They'll always get elected. Well, pick one. Pick somebody you gotta. What was it? I know it's not America. What was the mayor of Toronto? Didn't he get reelected after getting caught smoking crack? Didn't they reelect him? They knew he smokes crack, and they elected. Which, by the way, I'm big on that. I think everyone who runs for office,
you're a blood test boy.
Full blood audit. We should know every chemical in your body. Here's the thing: if it's like, I think it was Ford, right? I think it wasn't it Tom? Not Tom Ford. I'm blanking. Either way, I'm saying I know there was a mayor up there. I'm just saying, if a city wants to be like, or even a county with a representative, and they're like, look, we know he does cocaine, but like he's good at his job. He advocates for us. He fights for us. However, I just think we should know. Because then I think if it's like, what are these bozos doing? None of their decisions make any sense. If found out it's because they're drunk and on pills every day, maybe we can start putting 2 and 2 together. They're like, maybe they come across like petty, ineffectual idiots because they're literally on drugs every day. Because, by the way, I'm going on a limb. I'm not accusing anyone in particular, but all I'll say is this. If you are a senator or a congressperson, if you're an elected official, and you walk into a doctor's office and you explain what it feels like being an elected official, guarantee you're leaving with drugs. I guarantee you. They're going to be like, wow, you need these to regulate your moods or whatever. Because it's true. Crazy, stressful life. I get it. Busy people, important people. A lot of responsibilities. Hey, I hold them personally accountable for everything. I feel it. I'm just saying, I know for a fact a lot of those people are on
Hey,
drugs.
Cody, I got a little rant for you.
Okay, God.
Well, no, not me ranting. Like, you're going to have a chance to go off on this one and explain to the audience because I know how you feel on this. Marianne H is your girl right now, and she's backing you up. She says, a monarchy would make sense as long as it's 1, constitutional,
of course,
and 2, includes process for safe removal of the monarch if they don't behave themselves. Now, you have said separately, you have said you think the best system would ultimately be a monarchy as long as there was a provision for the violent removal of the monarch.
Not provision. All I'm saying is this.
Hit it.
Who do you hold responsible for the thing? People say Trump. Like, honestly, man, America's been making like some of the mistakes and the issues we have today just predate Trump. It's like, well, okay, but what about everything else this awful country does all the time? The country's not awful. I mean, the awful idiots who run it, the dumb mistakes they make, and then like the fallings out of that. It's like impossible. Who is actually responsible? It's actually one of the reasons why I think when you get too dense in the bureaucracy, you run into issues. Nobody's responsible. People saying Trump's responsible for all the COVID deaths. It's like, I guess, but like, there's so much stuff in this government with the bureaucracy is so deep, and the way our Constitution's written, the president's hands are so tied in a lot of stuff. It's easy to get baited into blaming the president for everything, but like, seriously, Donald Trump could fall off the face of the earth tomorrow, and 99% of these problems would exist for the next 50 years because these things have been put in motion long before him. So all I'm saying is, knowing who that king is, that decision maker is, it could help us when we're like, hey, that is who we're holding responsible. Fair or not. Just right now, people will try to hold Trump responsible, but even if he's out of office, no matter what happens, the problems will continue and linger. Because you can hold the president responsible, and then he's gone, and the problems remain, and they'll just hold the next president responsible. It's like, hold on a minute. What about these people? By the way, you know who does a lot of the work in government? Because, senators, Congress people, they'll write bills, they'll get them passed, they'll vote on them, right?
Yeah.
Who actually implements any of this? They're not gods. They don't just decree it and so it is so. There is a bunch of people who are not elected. They're appointed generally. Or hired, appointed, hired.
Yeah, they're regulatory officials instead of being elected officials.
There's people in everything. There's people in judicial branches, government, in people in the courts, people in the military, people in the intelligence services. A lot of high-ranking officials are elected. So we have no idea what nonsense, and they'll be up to this. I forgot who said this, but it's a great point. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who you think you are. You get elected president, you think you're the big bad president. Oh, I'm the president of the U.S. I'm the most powerful individual in the world, right? At some point in that first week when they're walking you through things, you get sat down into a room, a bunch of people come in and explain to you, this is what we've been working on for 20 years. Don't fuck this up.
Okay.
Mr. President, whatever. It doesn't matter what your title is. When you're gone, we'll still be working on this. And we've been working on it before you got here. So do whatever you got to do, but like we're doing, whether it be foreign policy, whatever. Because there's people in the government that are working on 30-year scales because they don't get elected every 2 to 6 years. So the people who get elected every 2 to 6 years, they got a different set of problems. And they don't do the things. The people doing the things, they're there for a long time. They see a lot of these people come and go. Think about that for a second. They see presidents come and go, and they stay. Their thing keeps going. My little project keeps going. A little project in Cuba or whatever keeps going. We'll brief the president. You come in, Mr. President. We'll let you know what's going on. But like, you can tell us what to do, I guess. But like, yeah, we'll give you updates, and that's how it's always been. That's how it always will be because that's just how our government's set up. Our government is set up where we have one major part of government just churn out people. I mean, president max 8 years. We're churning them out. I mean, that's a max. People have been working in these intelligence services. People have been working in some of these interior offices through multiple administrations. They make it through multiple administrations. I mean, it's crazy. But we don't even know who they are. We don't get to vote on them. They get hired and paid with somebody getting paid with my tax money hires them with my tax money, and I got no say in this. And it's sometimes a pain in the ass to find out who this person is, who hired him, why. And then most of the time, you could say, well, that sounds like crap. Why are they there? It doesn't make any sense. Deal with it. Or pound sand, one or the other. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. But it's one of the reasons why. When there is a king, right? Or a queen, you know who they are. That's all I'm saying. You know who they are.
Yeah. It's kind of nice, you know where to light the torches and go. When I was a tour guide at Universal Studios, there was a clip that we always used to play whenever we walked by one of the old movie monster haunts. And it was in Frankenstein where they say, light the torches and go. And then it would show all of the angry villagers running up to the castle in order to try and, overthrow Frankenstein's castle. So it just reminds me of, light the torches and go. So Christian Solid makes a suggestion that, Cody, you should play Assassin's Creed. It plays perfectly with your rant.
I've played a few of those. There's a lot of them, but I played a few of them.
Okay. Bo Watson hits us with a super chat. Thank you, Bo. Says, why do we accept this endless bureaucracy? Why do we let them tell us what to do? Why is it okay for $2 trillion to be spent and we not get a penny.
Know why? Hold on.
I wondered what the tipping point's
I'll tell
going
you
to
why.
be. Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because give me 1 second. I'll tell you why. 1 second.
Okay. I think it's because we've gotten so wealthy that we're just take for granted the greatness of what is this.
This is why it's really super vitally important that we argue about Fauci's vaccine timeline. The reason why we'll continue to accept this endless bureaucracy is because makes me so mad when people want to reopen it on a different schedule than I think so. The reason why we accept this two-party bureaucracy forever is because those dang people who, let's find one. These protesters, how dare they? I gotta hate them.
Oh.
Forget who they elect. Whoever that is, don't care. These people bother me. And it goes both ways. So it's like, I'll pull up Breitbart. Tell you why Breitbart says we can't, why we have to just accept this endless bureaucracy. That woman in Michigan, that's why we have to just accept this. Because the problem isn't the governor's, no. Look at that blue dress. She's a Democrat. We got to replace. Just pick one. CNN, Breitbart, MSNBC, pick one.
It's not for her blue dress that she needs
My point is this.
replaced.
The reason why this will continue forever is because we're fighting with each other instead of saying, hey, what the hell? You people should be held accountable. But no, we fight with each other. We fight with our citizens. Because
how do you hold them accountable because to me it seems like there's a lot of people that are saying we've tried the civil ways of holding them accountable. We've tried giving the benefit of the doubt to bureaucracy. We've tried to give endless benefit of the doubt to the benevolence of these civil servants. But at this point, we can recognize, at this point, we realize that they're just getting rich off us. They don't actually give a crap about us and our interests. And they've taken so much power that really our power as a citizen is only superficial. It's on paper. Because at the end of the day, if we want to speak out against our leaders make a video on YouTube saying how, their response to coronavirus isn't right and it's killing X, Y, and Z industry, well, then they could just take it off of YouTube. They can take it off of Facebook. And, they can just say, the World Health Organization says that no, so now you are misinformation. I mean, how do you act when you are the citizen that is trapped in literally the embodiment of thought crime in George Orwell's 1984? I think a lot of people are asking that right now. And that's the sense of what I get in the thread. I mean, not the thread, in the chat.
I'll tell you what you don't do.
Yeah?
Tell you what you don't do. You don't spend all day getting upset that other American citizens that are getting screwed every day like you hold slightly different opinions and pick different people to avatar and champion their opinions. You can hate them all day, that Rachel Maddow, that Tucker Carlson. But they're media class. They're closer to the top. What I'm saying is we'll hate each other forever. That's why. My neighbor put a, insert political opinion flag, and that guy. Tell you what, people will read news and watch videos for hours about things that make them mad. Know what they won't do? Pick up a book. Yeah, what should we do? What do we do when we feel like these people representing us? They're crap. They're shams. Nothing to do is real. What should we do? What do we do? Don't know. Tell you what, these protesters in Michigan, they make me so mad.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
That's what happens.
I'm just curious.
The alternative is to not focus on this nonsense. The reason I say go to where political discourse is on the internet, right? It's mostly,
okay, no. First, I want to reframe this question. I agree with you, Cody. I don't want to think that I'm antagonizing here. I agree with you that if most people that moaned online would spend 30 seconds to the minute, you know what I'm saying, just knocking doors to sign a petition. Or maybe just signing up for the local school board instead of complaining about the local school board.
How about just finding out? No, you don't have to even run. You don't have to. How about just finding out who these people are, what their names are, what they're doing? Talking about that.
You mean being specific instead of just saying, the Democrats are so evil.
Who's the problem in Congress? Obviously, right now, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, a lot of it falls on her shoulders. But she's not the whole Congress. They can not like have a legit mutiny, but
you want specifics is what you're saying.
Saying, who are all these people? What are the decisions they're making? How many Duncan Hunters are running around out there vaping it up and spending our tax dollars on video games and we just find out later? How many names are on that list of people in the Senate they had to pay out for sexual assault claims that we never get to see? The list exists. Don't you worry. It exists. But we never get to see it.
Okay, so...
Bill Watson says $2 super chat. Is it time to take out the boomsticks? Maybe not quite yet, but it just... As long as as long as whatever they're doing works, and it's social media, in the news, in all forms of media, you have American citizens turning on American citizens because how dare they have a birthday party in their backyard, they're violating orders, or how dare they insist X, Y, and Z. Instead of worrying about the petty bickering that we have with each other, because here's the funny thing that's ridiculous to me. Like 95% of this stuff is like, in me, just fruitless. It's like, there will be people that no matter what will be on the complete opposite end of where you are on the proper response to coronavirus. You could tell them whatever you want. You could show them whatever you want. You could tell them how right you are. Tell them how wrong they are. It doesn't matter. They're going to exist.
But is one of them right, or do you just believe that it's just relativism?
95, more times than not, you find out later. In the moment, everyone feels right. Do you think one side's like, I feel like I'm wrong, but whatever? Everyone feels right. Everyone thinks they're doing something for a good reason. There's very few people that are like, well, my plan's doomed to fail, gonna get millions killed, and I know this and I believe this, and I think this would be a true outcome. I don't care. I'm gonna push it anyway. That's the minority, man. Most people do think they're right. They do think they're fighting for the right cause. So when you say you're dumb and you're stupid and your cause is wrong because mine's right, which is what happens, immediately focus is shifted off the people at the top. You don't even care about them anymore. Because me and you are now arguing about beaches or whatever. Just pick, like citizens are fighting each other on beach closures. They're fighting each other on opening movie theaters. They're fighting each other on when the MLB should start. But they're not fighting each other on where did that $2 trillion go, right? Why aren't people saying, hold on a minute, what is this? Where'd all this money go? I don't see any of it. But no, instead it's, oh, look at these armed protesters. Instead, it's, oh, look at these authoritarian Dems. It's bickering. And you wonder why all these media organizations exist. It's almost like all these things exist just to stir up animosity amongst us. Who benefits from that? The politicians we don't pay attention to as a result? Maybe. Hey, I'm just asking. I'm just asking if CNN, MSNBC, Fox, I guess C-SPAN doesn't because they're C-SPAN. Like even like NPR a little bit. Picking sides. Writing inflammatory pieces, just opinion after opinion. And Washington Post the worst at this. Just opinion piece, to the point where you forget that these aren't actually news articles. These are just opinion pieces. Why is this a massive industry? Why is it encouraged? Why do you think they write these stories with unnamed sources? People in government tell them this stuff. Hey, man, write a story about this. People in government literally pick up a phone, call reporters, write a story about this. Here's your quotes. Don't name me. Every day. This happens every single day. Why? Who benefits? In some ways, you look at some of these media companies, not even necessarily the media companies. All of them are closing, right? Like, in laying, it's not even them necessarily always that benefit. Who benefits? Is it the people we never talk about, we never pay attention to? Go around, ask everyone in chat. You don't have to literally do it. Think, how many Congress people can you name? Think about it. You know,
I think that's a fair criticism.
You start kind of running through your head. You're like, okay, obviously you get the big ones that way. And you're like, we got some local ones. Actually, our local congressperson, our local congressional seat's up for grabs right now.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, down the line, you can kind of, oh, yeah, I remember he's in Congress. But it's not that many people compared to how many people are in Congress overall.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone should have voting records. What I'm saying is instead of getting mad at the person on, not even blue checkmark, just instead of getting mad at the people on Twitter or that the guy who wrote the article saying that X disagreeing with you, it's like, who are the people pushing this in government? Who are they? Not the reporter they told to write the article. Who is the person telling them to write the article? But I don't know. It's not as fun. It's not as fun to not be in constant headbutting arguments with our fellow man and to instead just be like, yeah, wait a minute. What the hell? Why has all these, like, I can't tell you, because I don't know how many people have been in Congress or Senate for 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's minimum 2 entire administrations there. How many people have been in office since then? Because you can blame Trump all you want. How many people have been in office 10 years before? You want to blame Obama all you want. How many people were serving Obama that are still in office now, right? Like, these people stay. They remain. They get reelected. They don't go away. You know who does go away every time, which is crazy?
Yep.
The people we draw our attention on. Where the ire goes, no matter what Trump does, he will be gone. There will be people in Senate and Congress for 20, 30 years after he's gone. Making the same decisions. Doing the same things. But we don't hate them. That's why they keep getting elected. We hate the president who's gone in a few 4 years. I don't know. I see it happen all the time. It's one of the reasons why you notice I don't get very worked up personally and petty like, oh, I can't believe there's people who think X. Who cares, man? There's people in Senate doing X. There's people in Congress doing Y. I care about that.
Okay.
There are people in the courts. Who are these judges that are appointed all over the country? I remember this was hilarious. There's a meme going around in right-wing circles for a while because it was like whenever Trump did anything, some Ninth Circuit judge in Hawaii like sued him and then put it up, and then people would say like, oh, the government should do this, and it was like, well, has the Ninth Circuit judges in Hawaii have they had their say in this? Well, I mean, there's so many people in government that do all this. They actually do the governance that we think is being poorly done. Someone's job is to do the thing. We don't talk about that. We talk about these voters, I guess. Which, by the way, didn't vote wins every election. Didn't vote undefeated. If didn't vote could win. If we could have, if you had to get like in Major League Baseball to go into the Hall of Fame, I believe you have to have like a certain threshold of votes, right? Not just the majority against threshold. If that's how we did elections, we would just have an empty White House many years because technically didn't vote won. Like of the three of you, didn't vote is who won out. But we don't do that. Instead, didn't vote gets on Twitter and goes, these stupid idiots that think wrong things. How about the dumb idiots doing the bad things? But I digress. It doesn't matter what I think. It frustrates me all the time. People will seriously get mad at journalists or personalities on the internet when it's like someone's literally in Senate writing this bill as you speak. Mm-hmm. This is getting voted on and passed. Congress decided to go on a recess again. That happened. They're like, we're just not going to do Congress. This whole Congress thing, we're done with it for a while because of coronavirus. Hopefully you guys are doing good in your aid money. No more's coming. And I'm done.
No, I think it was good. And if I understand you correctly, you're saying that first off, you want specifics, not arbitrary accusations, right? So you want specific battles to fight instead of just kind of like angry blanket statements.
Majority of the people, whoever you're mad at and you're holding accountable, guarantee you they have nothing to do with anything. Guarantee it. They're just a moron with an opinion. But the person actually doing the thing you're mad at, no one will ever bother looking up who that is. Pick an issue. Pick any issue you're really particular about in politics. Who are not, and it's of course not an individual, or I'm talking about the Senate and the House or anything, but who are the politicians really pushing against this? Who are the lobbyists? Who are the people actually doing this stuff? Because we can address that. If you could say, hey, these 15 senators are working with this lobbying firm to push for this thing I don't like, all of a sudden we can really address it. We can get somewhere with that. But when it's, these MSNBC libs are writing dumb art, it's like, what am I supposed to do with that, man? Oh, and Fox News, they're putting out propaganda. What am I supposed to do with that? Seriously. Who are the people in office getting the things done? Tell me who they are. Maybe we can focus on getting them unelected.
Okay.
Here's the problem. I think there's the inverse. I want to get to this too. Sly Cactus had a $10 super chat who said, since Tiger King is super popular now, have you guys ever thought about doing a video about Joe Exotic's 2016 presidential run? Oh.
That's actually not a bad idea, dude.
By the way, my first super chat is no James Abrams money, but we appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. And that, I honestly didn't really know Joe Exotic ran for president. And then I'll get to Nathan Butcher, $5 super chat. Is the POTUS role actually just taking all the hate from the deep state, running everything? A little bit. That's anything. Any organization that has a figurehead, a face that rotates, part of their job is to deflect blame. I mean, this is an anecdote from like a movie. Who knows how real this is? But I remember reading this, I thought it was interesting, or hearing this. And it was, some of you guys listening might know the movie. I've been trying to find out what movie this is from for a while. I forgot. Basically, somebody said that when one of the Soviet premiers got put into office, when he was changing office with the first guy, who was an officer for him, like the president in the Soviet Union, basically, he said, if you ever get into trouble, I left 2 letters in the desk.
Ooh, this is a good story.
First time you get in trouble, open the first letter. Second time you get in trouble, write the second letter. And he was like, okay, simple enough. So down the line, he gets in trouble, leader of Soviet Union. He pulls out the letter, reads it, and the previous premier told him, just blame everything on me. What the hell? I'm gone. Who cares? People hated me the whole time anyway. Who cares? They hate me for something else now. Just blame it on me. So he goes out there and blames it on him. Says, yeah, the first guy, I'll take care of it. I'll address it. Then he gets himself in trouble again. So he goes and reads the second letter. And the second letter just says, sit down and write 2 letters. With the idea being, you can push so much so many problems you could push onto the previous administration, but pretty soon, keep in mind, you're that previous administration. Someone else is pushing the problems off onto. That's the inevitability of these roles that filter. I mean, that's the point. You run on, I'm going to fix their problems. You get elected, cause their problems. Someone runs, so I'm going to get rid of their problems. And it never ends. But again, there's people in Congress and Senate and in all forms of government that are there the whole time for all of it. Making decisions, passing bills, signing legislation, blocking legislation. The whole time. Approving warrants. The whole time. That's what they're doing.
Okay. That was a really good and long answer to the question, is it time to get the boomsticks? You know what I'm saying? That past 15 minutes was in response to a question, is it time to get the boomsticks? My answer to that question is very simple, is obviously we would never endorse engagement in political violence because that is evil, and we do not endorse evil on this channel. However, I would say prepare for it because I think it's coming. I think you cannot be too prepared because with or without you, evil finds a way. Just like life finds a way, evil finds a way. And I don't think you can tax people that are as working hard as they have been the past 20 to 40 years with an American dream that has truly become unaffordable. Okay.
Because of who?
Because the boomers in Congress.
So what do they do? What boomers in Congress?
Their groupthink has inevitably led to the decline and the stagnation of everything that's good in the American household.
Through doing what? What do they do?
Passing bogus legislation, neglecting simple maintenance
I'm just saying,
that we depend upon.
Who did what when?
Oh my gosh. Okay, what year you want to start on?
I'm just saying, like, what are some?
I'll give you specifics. I don't fear specifics.
I'm saying, who are you most upset of through the last 50 years for passing what legislation?
If I were to boil down an individual piece of legislation, I actually wouldn't say the creation of a legislation because I don't want to impugn somebody's motives for wanting to try and fix a piece of legislation.
It could be 9 bills that were passed generally about the same thing.
But for not having gotten rid of bad legislation. So, for example, I think it was a good idea to try and pass the carpool lane idea, but now we figured out that it's a failed experiment and we're not getting rid of it. We're not alleviating traffic, which is keeping people away from their homes further. It's increasing our dependence on vehicles. It's adding to the average price that a person has to pay and a father of a family of 4 has to pay, not only in time from his commute, but also in vehicle maintenance. All of that because the Democrats in Sacramento, every single one of them, every time the bill has been up for a vote that has voted against it, is in part responsible for that increased stress on all the citizens in California. And that's just one paper cut that's killing the tiger.
What Republicans in Sacramento are really fighting against this?
No, there's none in Sacramento. That's the problem. And part of it's the Republican Party.
Hold on. Because then, to my point.
Can I answer your question?
Because
you're filling in the blanks without me having to answer the question.
Could you not just blame the government in Sacramento? My point is exactly, you're going to see these Democrats, these libs. Dude, it's the Senate.
Well, you can't say what I said when I couldn't get to the end of my sentence.
Okay, fine. But you never finished. Okay. What is it?
Well, I do have partial blame on the Republicans as well, because though they are not in power, the reason why the Founding Fathers created an opposition party and gave minority rights where the majority rules and the minority has rights, okay, is so you could do your job. And there are 11 races. You want to talk specifics? I counted them up myself. There were 11 races in the last election cycle that we had in 2018 that was supposedly the blue wave, okay, where Republicans lost by less than 5% of the vote, which is considered within striking distance. Okay.
But who cares?
Oh, well, I care.
Why?
Because there's a supermajority in California that is driving our state into the ground because we are not having any veto power by the opposition party. So if we could have 11 of those seats not be occupied by the majority party, we would at least stop bad things from happening. And there's 2 parts to government. 1, making good things happening, and then 2, stopping bad things from happening.
You're operating from the premise that a majority of Democrats means bad.
No, I'm operating from the premise that majority rules means bad because there's nobody to stop you from the worst aspects of yourself.
Okay, but still, why are we not? The point is,
there's no one to stop you from the worst aspects of yourself.
I think the partisanship is irrelevant there. You could have a bipartisan thing where everyone.
This isn't a partisan argument.
But you're talking.
I haven't said Democrat v Republican. I've said single party rule.
Democrats
whether they're all Green Party. look, I'll tell you this right now. You see single party rule problems in Texas with the Republicans.
Of course you would.
It's stupid there. You can't buy a Tesla. You can't buy a Tesla. There's so much wealth in the dealerships and in the oil lobby that they have gerrymandered and jerry-rigged.
That is hilarious. Texas oil lobby is literally so strong.
Exactly.
You can't have cars.
They've jerry-rigged. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I personally believe that dominant rule by Republicans in our country causes less problems than dominant rule by Democrats, because I do think one of the parties is occupied by smarter people, but only incrementally smarter. And neither one of them pass the impress me test. Okay. So yes, I'm a partisan in the regard that I think Republicans are better than Democrats generally, but neither one of these people impress me. Okay. So I won't say that one's better than the other. Well, I will say one's better than the other, but I'm not going to say one's perfect. And I will say that single party rule is a problem. I actually personally suggested to members of our city council that our city that has been predominantly single party since its inception in 1989 should create, if not just for optics and for the release of political tension, an honorary non-voting seat on city council that is occupied by the highest vote receiving recipient of the opposition party. Just so that there is somebody that the opposition party can go to, that can vent to, that can at least give a voice to what the minority's concerns are.
But the parties don't matter. They don't.
Well, if they're doing their job, they matter, yes.
Does it make any sense to you based on parties and how you understand what parties what? Does it make any sense that Republicans continually pass the biggest spending bills we've ever had? Over and over again. Republicans pass them. Why?
Okay, repeat that question.
Just with what you would understand, and not you in particular, but just Democrats and Republicans. Would it make sense that Republicans keep passing the massive government spending bills? But they do. Would it make sense that Democrats continually keep us in war forever? But they do. It's because they're congressmen and congresswomen, they're senators, they're assembly people, they're judges, they're clerks, they're presidents, they're secretaries of X. They're that first, and they're a Democrat and Republican second. I think we have to start looking at them that way. They're senators first and Democrats second. Republicans second. They're not Republican first and then a senator. They're not a Democrat first and then a congressperson.
Okay, so random.
You're not a Republican first and then an FBI director. No, you're the FBI director. You're a senator.
Well, I feel
you're
like they're acting that way now.
You're a judge.
And it didn't used to be that way. And we have measurable quantifiers to show that has gone down rapidly in the past 25 years.
But why? Why?
Why? Because
how do these people get in power?
The incentives are towards partisanship. The incentives are towards pushing an agenda.
Why?
Can I address the super chat first?
But just one second. Why are the incentives towards pushing agendas?
Because they become monetary.
Who eats this shit up is what I'm asking.
Who eats what up?
Why? It works. You can't play to a crowd that doesn't exist. It works because we listen. It works because we say, they're a Democrat or Republican. They're on my side. They're a Democrat or Republican. Shake my fist. It only works because we react that way. If we didn't react this way, if we didn't say, go get him, Nancy Pelosi, you're my avatar, kick his ass, or yeah, there we go, Cocaine Mitch, you're my avatar. If we didn't behave in this manner, they wouldn't be able to play us like that. Does that not make sense? If we just look at a senator banging their chest
I don't
saying,
behave that way, for example.
I'm King Kong Democrat, and we go, I don't care.
Yeah, but I don't think everybody does just say, you're my avatar, do my thinking for me.
You just told me it works, and that's why they do it. Why does it work, man?
Because when you
seriously,
say
how can you? Okay, you could sell soda and cigarettes to people. It kills them. We know that. It's bad for you. It kills you.
Yes.
Why can you? Because people still smoke cigarettes and they still drink soda.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It isn't Marlboro and Coca-Cola existing that's the problem. It's the behavior of us.
Yes,
So my point is, a senator being hyper-partisan isn't the problem. It's us buying into it.
No, hold on. You can't say that. I believe it's a 50-50 problem. I think, yes, I will 100% say wholeheartedly, my disappointment is with the leadership of this country because leadership matters, but an equal, if not slightly larger disappointment is my disappointment in my people as a whole, as Americans, that they have become so spoiled. And I said this earlier in the podcast. This isn't something I'm saying now. I've said this many times, that hard times create tough people create good times.
No offense, but you didn't say that.
I've repeated it, okay? So hard times create tough people create good times create soft people, and soft people create hard times, right? I think that we are living and the boomers are the epitome of this, okay, that we are the children and grandchildren of those that went through hard times, okay? And they created good times that many people grew up in, and those people botched it so badly that they are now creating hard times. Millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Z's children will be the generations of the hard times that were created by the debt that was incurred, the laziness that was encouraged, okay, and the corruption that was allowed to rot and set in of the boomer generation. Okay. So yes, half of my disappointment is with my people that have tolerated it and didn't see it coming and did not see it coming. Because you're right.
Got bad news for you, dude.
What?
30 years from now.
Yes.
You won't believe me, but it'll happen. There'll be someone sitting in a chair that looks much like yours, but 30 years in the future. Microphone looks... Actually, the microphone will probably still look much like yours.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll probably look
and
the
you know
same.
what they'll be saying? They'll be saying, these goddamn millennials 30 years ago didn't see it coming, sat on their hands, and they let it get this bad.
No, because the millennials will be the Russian serf generation.
No, I'm just saying.
Nobody blames the Russian serfs.
I'm going back to the
Bolshevik
but it's going back to the premier two letters problem. Yeah.
So
the first letter is blaming the boomers. You know what the second letter is?
So what do we do?
We sit down and say, tell you what, guys, blame us. Because
in the book of Cody, what do we do, though? Because something has to be done. Some intervention has to be done.
The best thing to happen is for people to recognize that these people are senators, they're senators, congressmen, presidents, aides, secretaries first. They're political class first. They're above us first. And then they mess around with their dumb party games to keep us distracted. Ignore the dumb party games to keep us distracted. Focus on them. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell do shit every single day that makes no sense for them being Democrats or Republicans. It's like, why are they suddenly, what? Now this is okay? Because why? Because they don't care. They're not actually Democrats and Republicans. That's why. Dude, it's so confusing and makes sense otherwise. You look at it like, why are they doing this? Why is Nancy Pelosi pushing for this? Why are the Republicans asking for this now? Why are the Republicans passing the largest spending bills? All that? Because they're Republicans. I always joke with people when someone say, oh, well, him, he's kind of like a conservative or a liberal. I'm always like, what are they concerned about the deficit? Are they concerned? Or is that just they have a positive or negative opinion about Trump?
Did you get Bo Watson's super chat?
We're a few behind. I want to get to all those. But I just think like that happens all the time where it's like, and we'll get to the super chats.
So Silver Fang,
$2. Should civilians protest government shutdown and push UBI?
Yes!
I've been saying, you know what? Clown on them all you want. The Tea Party's shutting down the government to defund Obamacare. It worked. So clown on them all you want. It worked. Bo Watson, $5 super chat. George Washington won without a party. It's time for a sequel to the Bill of Rights. Parties only serve to control succession and perpetuate depression. Get this, by the way, guys. Going back to the 80s. When the League of Women Voters, like when that, you can imagine when the League of Women Voters got that sounds like a suffrage group, right? Like nowadays, trust me,
those that sold out.
There's no longer a League of Women Voters. They're on both sides hating each other too. But
no, there is, and they refuse to investigate the Tara Reid allegations against Joe Biden. But I'm saying,
they're
sellouts.
There's women on both sides. My point is this: the Democrats and Republicans, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party actually control the rules over who is allowed to be on the presidential debate stages in the general. Think about that. You know why there's no third parties on debate stages? Because they're literally not allowed to the table. Democrats and Republicans tell them what the requirement's going to be. So that's one of the things about these two parties. Silver Fang, $2. Why not bail out states the same as big business bailouts? It's a really good question. Probably because businesses pay more on the other end. Businesses give them more.
I was about to say, you get campaign donations from businesses. But see, I got to tell you, Cody,
it's harder from a state.
I think this is changing, though. Because, for example, one of the biggest reasons why I got fired from the SCV GOP by, you want specifics, Joe Messina, all right, the chairman of the 38th District Central Committee, who preferred the old boomer way of doing things instead of the new way of doing things, okay? I think that will change. I had actually instituted a donation button on the website in which we would draft a simple $2, $5, $7, $20 donation monthly.
That's what Act Blue, basically.
We were like a minor version of local Act Blue. And most of our candidates that we're actually going after were official non-partisan candidate positions, such as school board members, water board members, so on and so forth, city council members, and et cetera. But I said, this idea that some developer gives us 10 grand and then walks around like he owns the place, like we have to endorse whatever development projects he has, screw him. Because we're getting played. He's making $10 million off of a $10,000 donation just so that you sign all of his approvals. Like, screw this system, all right? We're going to go straight to the people because now technology allows you to do that. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you had to rely on the big donors and you had to rely upon a bigger system that had corporate donations and so on and so forth because the ability to crowdfund wasn't there. Enter the internet, enter PayPal, Apple Pay, Venmo, all these other platforms in which small amounts can be drafted from large amounts of people. And that is the reason why a populist candidate and a populist methodology for raising money, I believe, is the future.
Would you vote for a true populist Democrat?
Would I vote for a true populist Democrat? Oh, if they were true populists, yes.
Someone just running for the wills of people.
I think they'd be a little
bit different,
very different Democrat than what we perceive as Democrat right now. Because Democrats are corporatists right now.
Well, exactly. I'm saying Bernie Sanders is basically a populist Democrat, closest.
Oh, please.
He's
such a sellout. Don't try and convince me that Bernie Sanders is
what he was running on was the closest to what you would call a populist. It's the reason why I think, aside from Biden's faculties mentally, I think Trump has a little bit of populist
Webb
appeal.
is a Democrat.
There's no populist appeal.
I would have voted for more.
Okay, I'm just saying. Think about that. Think about if you voted for a Democrat, if they
advocated
if they advocated against some of the kind of petty BS you want, but like at the bottom of it, like really were looking to change fundamentally. Because that's the one thing, party lines across, I've heard people say behind closed doors.
But populism is generally more conservative.
That was the one thing that no, it isn't.
Yeah, because
what is it conserving? What is populism conserving?
Oh, dude, okay, because populism at its core values the individual in comparison to the collective, which is the absolute heart.
Populism is not about the collective?
By empowering the individual. You have to understand that. Individual citizens are given so much more rights in populist circles.
There's definitely left-wing populism.
I mean, I'd say the Constitution is the single most populist document I've ever seen in my life. The Declaration of Independence saying to the strongest government on earth that you don't grant us powers, God grants us powers. And these powers are inalienable to the human race. All right, is the single most populist statement ever made in politics. And the reason why we have existed.
By your estimation, that has now exclusively became a conservative statement.
No, I'd say, well, first off, depending on how you define conservative, because if you think conservative is Sean Hannity,
you
then
told me that populism by definition is more conservative. I'm just saying why. I don't know why.
Because the reason why populism is generally more conservative is because at its core it elevates the status of the individual system. Okay, and it elevates individualism over collectivism. And it's through a bunch of empowered individuals that you end up bettering all of society. And so all of these collective individuals notice they would benefit better, and their self-interest makes them go into the populist movement more.
Because you could argue, I can make the argument that
because popular doesn't mean populist.
I could argue the most conservative, but if you want to be real conservative, you basically should be a, what's his name? Marcus Aurelius. Just like politics aside, why is extreme ownership not like the most conservative belief, right? Just the belief that government doesn't matter. I make my own fate. I was wondering why is maybe more right-leaning government, but it's just, I would argue if you want to be a true right conservative individualist, you wouldn't even bother with these parties. Right? Like, if you truly believe in the individual, what does it matter with the party?
Well, no.
Obstacles put in front of the individual.
You believe in the importance of augmenting the power and the civil rights of the individual and protecting it. But you have loved ones you care about. You have a future and a legacy you want to give to your children.
Maybe you should live your life in a way that would put you in position to deal with your loved ones going through the mere speed bumps. I'm just saying, couldn't you not argue that's also not the extreme end of it, where at the point of parties, but damn, don't need them. Okay. I'm an individual.
So 2 comments here is Nathan Butcher says, isn't populism supporting, quote, ordinary people rather than elites? Well, first off, populism is recognizing that they're citizens and citizens have inalienable civil rights that cannot be violated no matter what the government official wants to do. Okay. So sometimes in the colloquial sense, we think that's ordinary people being elevated over elites, but not really, because there's times when elites need civil rights too. There's times when there's been public officials blamed for things that they were not indeed responsible for, and the mob has wanted to hang them out to dry, and they have needed to actually be protected by civil rights as well. It's far more rare, and in the colloquial tongue, we think ordinary people over elites is generally how that rule of thumb is applied. But no, in a populist system, everybody is created equal. That's why it's literally, populism is just the Constitution. I mean, honestly, that's all it is. That we believe that all men were created equal, and that our rights are inalienable, and these are those rights. And we're going to behave and interact as a society without violating these rights. And if you do, it's a civil rights lawsuit where you have right to see your accuser, right to a lawyer, even if you can't afford one, and right to a voice in the system where you be judged by a jury of your peers. That's really all populism is what the founding fathers wrote.
Well, also, I think anyone in office, every day of their life in office, should have one major, overwhelming concern, and that's absolute fear of the response the people are going to have to them. That's what I think. I think that's real populism.
Okay, say that last sentence again.
We hold these people accountable. These congressmen, these senators, these judges live in fear of us. Fear of us.
But what power do you have to make them fear the reckoning of your accountability? See, populism has to give you that power that you have enough power to actually enforce that reckoning.
You could say we already have the power. It's just a matter of the means, the movement. Not the means, but the idea, the doing.
But here's a perfect example.
That's what we're relying on.
Here's a perfect example of that. The Black Panthers were complaining about police brutality. Okay. And I'm not here to defend the violence and the bombings of the Black Panthers and all that other stuff. But I am here to say that they are a perfect example of a good aspect of civil rights in action in this one instance. They were afraid of police brutality from white cops that were racist. And there were documented evidences thereof. So they began exercising that unalienable right to carry a gun and policing their own neighborhoods. And what happened when the government officials saw these individual citizens walking around open carrying a 30-06? Well, police brutality came to a very quick end. So that right there is populism. And it shows the importance of those constitutional rights.
Would you call... My point being, would you consider the Black Panthers to be like conservatives?
In that Second Amendment aspect, yes. In the angry bombings and the killing of police officers that they hadn't proven they disliked. I mean, come on.
It's not really a conservative thing. And I think, again, to my point, the game they play is convincing us that there is a right side and a wrong side, and your neighbor's on the wrong side and you're on the right side. It's the game they play. That's what keeps attention away from them. Our attention's on my neighbor that I've just been told on the wrong side.
But the example I gave you had nothing to do with party lines had anything to do with me fighting with my neighbors.
But that's what's holding us back, is that they turn us away from real focus. It's like the most it's what the Soviets said, right? Like, if we just, like the two arms coming together, we could rise up. Like, that's always been the case, where it's like, if the two groups of people fighting each other just stopped fighting and looked up, they'd realize there's more of us than there is them. That's always how things go. It's another one of those things, like I said, you know why there's conmen and shysters in the Congress? Because there's always conmen and shysters who go to the top in decision making. The same way, there's always a large group of people fighting with each other so intensely they can't look up and see, wow, we outnumber them. We have more influence than them realistically if we exert it. It's not what happens. So maybe there's no... But here's the thing, too. Because it happens so often, it's almost like... I don't even know if you could argue there's some, grand game at play. That might just be the way things turn out. Because it always happens.
I believe there's natural hierarchies,
But this problem is so frequent. You have people bickering at each other while morons run them from the top to the ground. That is, there's companies where this happens. There's sports teams where this happens. There's countries. There's kingdoms. There's republics. And everything goes down.
But that's why Ronald Reagan said that every single generation has to defend itself. We're always one generation away from losing our freedoms. Ronald Reagan knew this. And I would say boomers are the generation that didn't fight away statism well enough where they might have lost the freedoms of our country. We're not as far gone as others, but
this, to your point, you said every generation has to fight for their freedom.
Yeah, the boomers in Congress.
Do you think this generation is fighting for its freedom?
No, this generation lacks the power due to its poverty because they are the Russian serfs.
That's loser thing. We don't lack no power.
Okay, no.
We don't lack any agency. We just aren't doing it.
Okay, no. Let me amend my statement. We don't have... Okay, our system, though it is changing, it is still predominantly ran by money. And millennials haven't been able to accrue wealth in a way that previous generations have. So they lack, in many ways, the money necessary to change the system. Yes, they can still vote. They can still knock doors. They can still become activists. They can still volunteer. And studies do show that millennials are a lot more wealthy than people make them out to be in many instances. But at the end of the day, they have been hamstringed in their ability to compete because they are the Russian serfs that won't own the land but will be forced to work for subsistence pay. Okay?
How about this? How about this though? I was watching a documentary the other day.
Yeah.
And it was about 70s Ireland and what was going on with the Republic of Ireland, and you had the different, the Civil War and the clash.
Yeah.
And there was literally English UK police escorting not Republic, what the England sympathizing side's police around their neighborhoods as they were being attacked inside the Republic by extremists. And they asked the commanders, a military commander sent from England to Ireland to deal with this. And he had probably 50 men checking every vehicle at stop points to check for car bombs in the 70s. And they asked them, well, how many people you think are operating here? Right? I mean, you got helicopters, you got Humvees, you got a barracks with 70 men, you're stopping every car. How many people are actually here? And he said, well, in the Republic areas, I don't know, maybe 12, the real extremists. And then if you get up into the northern parts, maybe 30. That was it.
Yeah.
You had military men working. You had more soldiers working 16-hour days, working checkpoints than you had bombers in the Irish Republic.
Yeah. Well, no, that's
it's all it takes. It's all it takes. You have 12 people running around doing car bombs in the Republic of Ireland, and guess what? They're sending military helicopters from the mainland to do checkpoints 16 hours a day. And they don't even know where you are. They can't find just 50 of them trying to find 12 of you with the backing of a whole country. And it shut everything down. Now, I'm not 4%, bro. I'm not advocating for killing innocent people with car bombs like the IRA did. But I'm just saying, you'll notice how it doesn't take everyone. It really just takes enough people doing enough that's effective. That's all it takes.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And that is the 4% rule. There's a really interesting video made with Michael Douglas calling for political action in an organization. I can't remember, but it was pretty good. It had a lot of data about how revolutions that benefit the citizens of a country are pulled off. And he pointed out the 4% rule. This is the 4% rule that Malcolm Gladwell talks about in Outliers. It's the 4% rule that social scientists talk about, political revolutions, physical revolutions, military revolutions, all these revolutions, okay, generally are brought to pass because 4% of the adult population found itself fit, willing, able, and motivated to actually push the ideas of that revolution. And it only requires 4% of a population to push an idea for that idea to take root, take hold, and that idea to revolutionize the system. 4%, that's it. So what you're saying is, we need to get that 4% mobilized.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
you need to become part of that 4%.
It doesn't take everyone. It's just
just 4%. That's 4 out of 100.
Here's the problem: is we live in a system though where it's not going to happen because you could show some people like the CNN logo or the Breitbart logo or the Fox logo or the MSNBC logo or the Vox logo or the Free Beacon and probably watch their heart rate shift based on which logo. I mean, until we move past this as Americans, until we move past this point of being well, I'm an American, but those other citizens getting screwed by the government every day are lesser or worse or evil. Until we move past them, that's impossible.
So we got a super chat from Silverfang here. He said, how do we build a people empowering movement versus government? Look, study history. This has been done before. Study our founding fathers. They did it old school with the Sons of Liberty. They did it old school with the Kentucky Musket Boys or whatever that group was coming out of the Appalachian Mountains. You know what I'm saying? They did it with the thinkers and the actors in the 1700s. Okay. Study the 60s, study the civil rights movement. Okay. And you will notice that civil disobedience of large groups of people who they're on the right side of history. Okay.
Hold on. I got it.
What?
No such thing as the right side of history. Doesn't exist.
Oh, come on.
There's just no. I swear to God, it just doesn't exist. There's no such thing as right side of history. First of all, let me ask you: who decides that? Who decides? Here's history, good, bad. I will lay out.
So you don't think George Washington's on the right side of history?
Don't know. I honestly didn't get to see what the king would have done with the colonies. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you probably. But I'm just saying. I don't know, dude.
Okay, but
it's easy.
Okay.
It's really easy to say those people.
Let's see
we
how
conquered,
all the other colonies went for the next 200 years after
so
that.
would you say that if you're looking particularly on the native peoples of this land, who was on the right side of history? Are the Cherokee on the wrong side because they got
because
beat?
they were denied their constitutional
they're
rights.
on the wrong side.
That's why.
Yeah, because they got beat. They got invaded. They got conquered. No fault of their own. They fought, but they lost. That puts them on the wrong side of history. That's how it works.
Okay,
that's literally how it works.
Okay.
It's like two people start punching each other in the face, and then one of them's left standing. Guess who's going to tell you the other guy started it? Guess who's going to tell you? You wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I just had to keep hitting him till he stopped moving. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Trust me. That evil man lying dead on the floor right now puts me on the right side of history. It's how it's gone for thousands of years. It's all relative.
No, it's our ideas that establish the
Tell you
right or
what,
the wrong
as an
side.
American, I'm glad we won the War of 1812. Don't know how the English feel. Ask your boys in Argentina how the Falklands War went. Who's on the right side of history there? Los Malvinas.
Las Islas Malvinas son nuestras.
Yeah, they belong to England. Why? Why is England on the right side of history for defending the Falklands? Seriously, are they? Or are they on the wrong side of history for doing that? From the English perspective, they would say they're probably on the right side of history for rightfully defending what they consider to be their own. From people down there, they'd say it's ridiculous. We've had islands for thousands of years. The English think they own them now? Who is on the right side of history there, right?
Okay, for example, Joe Biden brings up a good point. Slavery, dude, are the owners on the right side?
There is times where we find out, but I'm saying 95% of the time it's pretty gray. Slavery, I'll admit, that was bad. But a lot of time,
I'm glad to know that.
Like the conflict over the Malvinas or the Falklands, that's gray area. Who really does own that? Because you could say, well, they've been off the coast of Argentina forever. Does that mean the Argentinian mainlanders just own the islands because they've been there forever?
No. Everybody knows. Look, I live down there.
Okay,
even
I'm
the
just saying,
Argentines
these
know
struggles happen all over the world forever, and it really is. It depends kind of where you live and what you relatively say. Like, relatively is kind of who you'd say is on the right or wrong side.
Okay,
where the capitalist
I don't accept this moral relativism.
It's not moral, but I'm just saying. Were the capitalist American pigs on the right side of history for invading the rightful communist nation of Vietnam? Are we on the right side of history for that? Or the wrong side? I don't even know.
Yeah, so V-Tran is asking, should we get the Guy Fawkes masks? I wish there was a little bit more Guy Fawkes in all of us. And by the way, I found out something really interesting. I was huge into V for Vendetta throughout 2007 and 2008. No, actually 2005 and 2006, because I think it came out in 2004. I don't remember, but it's one of my favorite movies. And as I was researching the history of Guy Fawkes, I found out that it's actually pronounced Guy.
Guy or Guy?
No, Guy Fawkes.
Are you sure? Because I know
not Guy Fawkes, Guy Fawkes.
Because I know there's
it was G-U-E, which used to be pronounced.
Oh, so it was not G-U-I. Because I know Guy can be pronounced
and then
Guy,
it's been in the old English that it was Guy. I remember reading the parentheses where they show you how it's pronounced. Mm-hmm. And thinking, wow, that's Guy. Interesting. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Chat, tell me if I'm totally wrong, and maybe I was just reading that linguistic chart wrong. But I remember that it was either in the Wikipedia article or at that time, the JSTOR article that I was reading, because I still had access to the college library, that it was Guy Fawkes. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was interesting. Marianne H. noticed that you made the first Argentina reference of the chat, and she congratulates you. Good job on that, Cody. And then Sly Cactus is getting super sly up in his cactus mess.
So the Malvinas are very personal to my. It's very. I will say that when I was a kid, I was like 12. I used to 13. I used to like watching the Military Channel a lot, and the Military Channel had a special on the Falklands War, and it was kind of one of those.
First off, it's not the Falkland Islands War; it's Las Islas Malvinas War.
It wasn't a war; it was a
It's
conflict.
La Guerra de las Islas Malvinas.
I'll see if I can find it. I showed Cardin once. Somebody sent me, or somebody on Twitter.
What Argentines actually believe?
Yeah, it was literally Argentinian propaganda of what happened in the conflict, and it's all
garbage.
I thought it was funny because in it,
he purposely was mistranslating some of those phrases.
But in it, what was funny to me, and you said this was real, is a lot of you guys in chat probably aren't familiar with this, but it's very interesting. There is a group of people, but they have warriors from this group of people. I don't know what you would call them. From, I believe like the Nepal region. I'm butchering it.
Yeah, no, you're talking about Las
Gurkhas.
Gurkhas.
Yeah, and I thought it was like, because
Las Gurkhas.
the English have like turned the Gurkhas just because the English colonized a lot of their lands and used them in their English armies, but they have like just absolutely turned the Gurkha soldiers into legends. They're the greatest soldiers of all time, and there was some Gurkha soldiers, I guess, deployed to the Falklands conflict, and to this day, people in Argentina are like, we took down some of those English Gurkha soldiers.
We killed a
which,
Gurkha.
by the way, is like, according to everyone else, like, no, it didn't happen.
Well, they're kind of like, they're perceived internationally as kind of like the Navy SEAL mercenary group of the English army.
No, but they've like, the
and they'll cut off their own fingers if they don't draw blood from their warriors.
Soldiers of all time. Their stories of like, one Gurkha versus 50 people. One Gurkha's good, worth 9 or 15 other soldiers. I think it's funny to this day in Argentina. They're like, we got one of them. We got one of them. It's just, but again, to the point, right? Like right side, wrong side history. It really is most of the time. Like a lot of people, I think, misunderstand. Someone put it in chat. I just didn't see it. There we go. Silverfang right side. History is written by the victors. What that actually means, right? We forget what that means a lot of the time. Like
you better win that war so you can write the history.
But also remember, like I said, like the example of the two guys fighting, right? Very rarely to never do you say, well, you know what? They had a good point. Maybe we weren't even in the right when we invaded them. Maybe when I killed that person, I probably shouldn't have done it. But, they're a good person. No, it's they had it coming. I can't go to riddance. It's better under. It's never, nobody invades a kingdom and then laments, oh God, why do we do this? We're so awful. This kingdom was so much nobler and better. No, even if it's the case, even if in the back of their head, they're kind of like, damn, like there's no way. Guarantee you, if you invade someone's capital and start killing your innocents, back of your head, you're probably like, you know what? I feel like they actually might not have done this to us. I'll say they would have, but I'm like, I feel like they would have been fools and they wouldn't have done this to us. And it is literally just relative. And then, generally speaking, again, you very rarely lionize your defeated opponent, except in veracity. You'll say they were some of the most ferocious warriors. These barbarians were monsters that were impossible just to build yourself up for having defeated them. But very rarely do you say they're paragons of virtue we invaded and slaughtered, right? No one ever says that. No one ever says, yeah, but they had some good points. No, they're gone now.
So now that you're done spouting your political and moral relativism, I'm just kidding. Sly Cactus actually agrees with you in a little bit more sly way, dare I say. He says there's no right or wrong side, only the forward side. Oh, do you see what Sly Cactus did there? Yeah. There's no right or wrong side, only forward side.
What's interesting though is, unfortunately, in reality, that is not true, and there is a backwards and a sideways side that takes over a lot of it. I mean, it's hard to think now, but we literally have. Kurds are always on the wrong side and they deserve better. Thank you. Exactly. You notice that. Some groups of people just can't seem to find a way on the right side. They just can't find it there. Right? I do feel for the Kurds a little bit. They are pretty, again, well, do you know why we talk about the Kurds, though? You know, it's one of the few things I do know about the Kurds concrete as well.
What?
Tenacious fighters. They fight like hell to hang on to northern Iraq, I believe, right? Or Iraq,
well, I think they're in southern Turkey, northern Iraq. Yeah. I think...
But I'm saying, I believe northern Iraq actually is kind of recognized
as ethnic area or whatever you call it.
I don't think there is a legit Kurdistan anymore, right? But there is regions of other countries that are known as kind of like. Either way, the point being is they fight like hell. Only reason we know they exist. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know they exist. They would just be gone. Now, again, I'm not going to say that Osama bin Laden just happened to be on the wrong side of it. But at the same time, also, Osama bin Laden. Why did he? You think anyone in the CIA knew who Osama bin Laden was in 1986, 1996, 2000?
Well, in 96 they did, not in 86.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. Of course we didn't know who he was. Of course we didn't know who Osama bin Laden was. Of course we had no idea. Hey, of course Osama bin Laden was behind all that stuff we said he was behind. It's just, it is scary how easy it is to just be like, that guy's bad, we got to kill him. Oh, he's gone now? What do you know? Wait till you find out how bad he actually... Can't wait to find out how evil Kim Jong-un was when he's gone. Actually, no, his sister's supposed to be even more hardline. But it's just... It's always how it was. They were always incompetent.
We've got a question,
awful,
Cody.
And evil and needed to die. It's always the case.
Andrew Riggs asked, PSP, do you guys have any news regarding Congress passing UBI?
Aside from Nancy Pelosi saying that we should take a look at everything short of the words UBI. I think she's like a minimum guaranteed payment. And she said like 5 other things.
You know how
Aside
you
from
ask
that,
for specific people that
tell
are
you what.
screwing up America?
Wait, you want-
There's my specific,
you wanna know
Nancy
why?
Pelosi.
You want to know why? Well, I guess it's Speaker of the House. Rightfully so. But there's more than her. But to your larger point, though, of why they're not passing UBI right now because Congress is on recess again. They're back on recess. So to hell with it. The only reason Congress broke recess, by the way, they screwed up.
By the way, who passed that recess? What majority vote passed that recess?
Congress.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Don't you know?
It wasn't an individual.
The Republican-held Senate, I believe, is also on recess. So it was bipartisan. Both parties decided we
interesting.
shouldn't be doing this. Because what do you know? They look at themselves. I'm telling you.
I thought it was the speaker that
From
declares
where-
recess.
Not for Senate. From where
No, I think it's for both houses, isn't it?
it was bipartisan support. I'll tell you that.
I think
can
that's
tell
an old
you- I
legacy
can tell
rule that
you-
dates back
I
to
can tell
when-
you Mitch McConnell didn't lift a finger and said, sounds fine to me, Nancy, because guess what? We might look at them as Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi that butt heads. To them, hey, me and Mitch, we're on the same team. We're better than you people. We're the government. We rule you. So I don't like. If I'm gonna be ruled, give me a goddamn king, okay? If I'm gonna be represented, that's one thing. If I'm gonna be ruled, just give me a king. I'm done with it. I'm done with being ruled by the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader and the Supreme Court. I'm done with it.
Yeah,
They're not gonna rule me. But if they're gonna rule me, just anoint someone the king and say, guess what, man? That guillotine's parked right outside waiting for you. Do your damn job. That's what I want, but it's not gonna happen.
So Joe Biden says we need to riot, civil disobedience. I don't necessarily think civil disobedience always has to be a riot. And the reason why oftentimes just plain old rioting is ineffective is because it makes it too easy for people to dismiss you. It makes it too easy for people to dismiss you. There's part of me that says, okay, peaceful protest. Because that's a Christian and ideological Mahatma Gandhi way of doing things. Sure. Okay. There's that half.
Hey, it predates
but
Gandhi.
also
It goes back to the Transcendentalists.
it goes back to the anti-Nephi Lehites of the Book of Mormon.
Probably goes back to there's probably Sumerians that believed in civil disobedience.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying that also you want to be as effective as you possibly can in your civil disobedience. You want to be as effective as you can, and engaging in unnecessarily violence in that process is making you less effective, because now when the news reports goes out, they can say, oh, rioters, and then all of a sudden you're a rioter, not a civil disobedient.
Well, how about this
protester.
question for you then?
Yeah, what?
What is the most recent effective act of civil disobedience? Most recent. So just the one that happened most recently you think worked. Doesn't have to be the best one ever. Just most recently effective act of civil disobedience. What do you think it was?
Okay, civil disobedience means not just PR pressure put on a corporation, but actually on government. Okay, so the last time civil disobedience changed government, I think, would be... Have we seen anything? Well, we've seen a lot of protests that I actually think helped apply pressure to these governors. So I'd say people refusing to obey certain quarantine laws that I don't think the general public views as being actually efficacious, shall we say, has been a recent example of civil disobedience.
Well, do you want to hear about some interesting stuff with beaches?
Because we're going to be going and checking out the beaches when people are doing their civil disobedience tomorrow.
Well, no, not even that. No,
and by the way, only in California can going to the beach be considered civil disobedience.
Well, no, but there's currently a big battle going on in California.
Yeah.
The governor just came down and said that he is going to close statewide beaches. Orange County and a couple others, but I believe Orange County in particular.
Orange and Ventura
like
County.
Say, no way you're closing our beaches. You do not know what's going on in these communities. We're practicing this correctly. Hey, one of my favorite YouTubers. I wasn't my favorite, but a YouTuber I watch a lot. I was just showing you him as well. Is a guy I watch him. I got into like prison YouTubers for a while. Guys that were in prison who got out YouTubing about it. Cause interesting.
A reminder of your time in the clink.
Yeah, my time. But anyway, there's one guy. I think it's Big Herc 916. I think it is. He lives out here in Los Angeles. Another reason why I watch a lot of this stuff. And he's more just at this point kind of just talking motivationally about life. And hey, I had a crazy life, but look where I am. But even he's posted videos of himself at the beach. He's posted videos like, I think we're getting played, guys. Like, this is crazy. Like, why are we at the... He said one thing, and me and you argue. You take the coronavirus isn't as bad as I think side, right? But he said something to me that I had me thinking. He's like, I'm at the beach here, and he's like, unless there's some kind of ninja virus with ninja powers, I don't know how it's gonna like fight through the wind and fight through the salt water and fight through everything else. Because I do think being outside, like full disclosure, I went out for a run today for like 2 hours, all around through.
2 hours?
Yeah, because I was outside. I wasn't standing 5 feet away from someone breathing from them. I was just running around outside. So I definitely agree with it. But I just do think it's funny. We are seeing a lot of people now that are kind of like, well, hold on a minute. Like, maybe the beaches are okay. And then the government's like, no, beaches closed, mandatory, shut down. I remember clowning on Florida while they got their beaches open. But you start thinking about it a little bit, and it's like, hold on a minute. If the problem is breathing in, like, people's, stuff they're breathing out, okay, you go to the beach, it's windy, there's sand, there's salt, there's all kinds of shit.
You're not worried about the aerosolization.
You're not standing, I'm not waiting in line at Subway standing in front of someone breathing in my mouth.
Yeah, you would need to be in an enclosed environment like an elevator or something like that. Yeah, so that's a recent example of civil disobedience. By the way, regardless of what side of the immigration argument you're on, sanctuary cities is an example of civil disobedience. And what's funny is the sanctuary cities that are calling sanctuary from the sanctuary city law in California, which really just means they're on the side of standard law and order, is another example of civil disobedience. We've been there. I was at the huge rally that got nationwide news in our city hall.
What's like the most effective?
The most effective, I think, is when people refuse to engage in an act that has been required by law that would force the government to either arrest you or engage in making good on a campaign promise or a threat that would make that government look really, really bad and show just how evil and corrupt it has gotten. Such as crossing the bridge in Selma. How is simply a peaceful march across the bridge in Selma such a bad thing?
Actually, American civil rights movement,
yeah.
You could almost argue, I would say, the American civil rights movement was... I remember in high school, don't remember a lot of high school. I remember hating learning about transcendentalism, but you could say that early streak of civil disobedience in America probably did lead to, the acceptance of a civil rights movement. That the acceptance that civil disobedience is, obviously the government didn't sit in its hands, you know what I mean? They are out there doing bad stuff. But you see what I mean? I do wonder how much that played into it. This kind of past and history of civil disobedience existing in America. When we got to the civil rights movement, we realized that's a valid thing that they're doing there.
Yeah,
I do wonder how much that plays in, because it is kind of interesting to me. I didn't really think about this.
So we'll see. For example, Joe Biden says stop traffic. I'm not necessarily convinced that the best way of civil disobedience is to stop traffic, because once again, then you just become an annoyance that is hurting the infrastructure of everybody, and that infrastructure may simply just be their commute.
To the guy you're blocking in traffic, he does not care what you're pushing.
I know he doesn't care.
But I'm saying, that's why I agree. Blocking traffic's tough, because when I'm trying to get to work and I'm tired and it's in the morning and someone's blocking my way to work, suddenly,
then
I went from indifferent to their cause to very interested in opposing their cause because they're blocking me getting to work.
Also, here's the other thing: is if you're stopping traffic, when you get arrested as your act of civil disobedience, which is ultimately what it's going to boil down to, people perceive it as a relief and that the state is the good guy for taking you away as a disruptor. Whereas going to the beach, when there's actually a stupid law that says you're not allowed to go to the beach, and the getting arrested on TV at the beach, and people seeing that and saying, hey, why is the state coming and arresting this guy when all he's doing is going to the beach? That's a much better act of civil disobedience, because now all of a sudden you have the people on your side. See, civil disobedience has to gain attention and awareness that brings good-hearted, normal people who would generally be inactive in your cause to become active in your cause.
You know what's funny? You know what's sad? Do you know who? Sure, someone in chat will say, no, you're wrong. But as far as I've understood it, do you know who actually used that civil disobedience and sympathy to their side and speak on a right side and wrong side of history?
Who?
There was a brief period of time where, thank God those Nazis got rid of all those brown shirts out there stomping people in the streets.
No, the brown shirts were the Nazis.
You were
talking about the communists.
Yeah, sorry, but my point being...
Yes.
Sorry, I'm confused. You don't understand. You understand my point. For a brief period of time there, people were like, God, good thing these National Socialists stopped fighting with those communists. That sucked, man. All the violence and stuff, we don't want that. And look where it leads. I'm just saying, that's what the right side of history looks like sometimes. Sometimes the right side of history is good thing these Nazis stopped these people from doing these things. And then you find out 9 years later, but maybe we were on the wrong side the whole time.
Had the communists not chosen violence as their act of civil disobedience, then they would have been perceived as victims instead of been perceived as nuisances that the National Socialists were getting rid of. So that's why you want to maintain as much peace as you can in these engagements.
You could appear to be on the right side until we find out where you actually are. I mean, it's all moral relativism anyway.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
1,000% is. People raised in cultures separate from our own have different sets of morals. They're relative to ours. Yes, that's how it exists.
Okay, so we got
That's literally. What do you think the Mongols? What do you think the Mongols back in the day? You bring back some great Mongol conqueror, one of Genghis Khan's children or whatever.
Don't be messing with
Ask
my boy.
them what they think about modern Americans, and they would say, they'd have all kinds of stuff they'd say about us. They wouldn't say, "Wow, how pious and virtuous the noble Westerner is." From our perspective, sure. From their perspective, no. Wow, they seem kind of weak. They seem kind of ineffectual. They seem like they can't get the kind of stuff we can get done.
So,
Let me ask you something. How many nations could you conquer compared to me? I'm just saying, it's all relative. It literally is. That's why history is confusing sometimes, because we're like, why would they do that? It's like, well, I mean, I'll tell you what, one of my favorite quotes. They're from a movie. Mine from a movie. Bishops are harassing Michelangelo about his painting of the Sistine Chapel. And they say,
because this represents the Greeks.
No, but they said, why would you paint like this? Why would you not paint the way why would you paint things that look like this? And he said, well, I guess because X, Y, and Z. And they said, well, how could you ever think that you're better than the Greeks? And he's like, you know what separates the Greeks from us? Literally Christ on his cross. Like, the idea being is that the things that separate for hundreds of years, thousands of years, we literally don't know. Went long, confusing, probably. I didn't explain it well. But you look back through struggles and conflicts, and it's like we just have to deal with what happened. We actually don't get to go back and litigate who was right all the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's just, well, here we are now. Like, Jesus, this is the way it is. Let me ask you something.
Did you just tell Jesus the way it is?
I mean, there was a point in time. How about this? This is another great thing for people. Because I think people always say more relativism is awful. Really? You engage in it every day. Unless you agree there is a gold standard of morals, and it's mine. It's our cultures. It's Western society's gold standard of morals belongs to us. All those backwards history Mongols deserve it. Unless you're going to take a stance something akin to that, you have to understand we're applying our morals to acts of others. Same way in the future, our morals are going to be judged that way. There was people today we would insist are locked up who were considered like civil rights activists 100 years ago. We're like, those opinions are so outside of what's allowed today that we're like fighting for abolitionism. You know what I mean? Like, we have to, I think we always operate in the standard of I am operating from the correct set of morals and views now.
Yeah.
This is how things always should have been. But
you talking about Gloria Steinem?
It's nothing in particular, but it's just that's how it always is. I mean, we would look back on what so many cultures did for thousands of years as barbaric because we're us and they're them. That's why they feel that way.
We're actually already 15 minutes over. We're going to wrap this up. If you got a couple of more super chats in your system with some questions you want to get out, we're going to address those super fast. If you got any burning, insatiable ideas, I'm getting the super chat right now. If you got any other questions you want to get us, hit us up in the chat right now. And if you want to join before we go, we will give you a shout out on air. We got a super chat here from Monik Paul Singh. As a fellow conservative, do you think conservatives should embrace more universal programs like UBI or German-style universal health care? Sending good vibe and love from Iowa. Okay, I have an answer for that. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I think I'll be shorter than you on this.
Okay.
I agree. I definitely think the Conservative Party needs to divorce itself from there's right wing and there's corporatists that have ingrained themselves in the right wing and corporatists that have ingrained themselves in the right wing. I think the conservatives in general need to say, look, we agree. Conservatives definitely are more for free markets. However, I think yes. Short answer, yes, they should agree to that. I think a longer answer, I think Tucker Carlson said this, which was interesting. And he basically said, we don't have to bow down before the free market and say, please, free market, be merciful. We control it. We're in control of the markets. We can decide how they work. And we can decide we're going to advocate for things, like you said, expanded healthcare and UBI. I definitely think that's a winning narrative for the conservatives. Okay. I agree.
So I think what you're saying is that capitalism was created for man, not man for capitalism, if I'm to quote my boy Jesus.
Sure.
Okay.
Jesus talked about capitalism?
No, he said when the Sadducees approached him and criticized him for certain activities on the Sabbath, he said, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So anyway, Monik Paul saying, here's my answer. As a fellow conservative, do you think conservatives should embrace more universal programs like UBI or German-style universal health care? See, Cody, I think this is a small nuance that you missed here. He's asking, should we embrace UBI or more German-style universal health care?
Oh, I thought you meant one or the other. Not one.
Yeah.
It's like both, not one or the other.
Yeah, no, not both. No, we need much more universal programs such as
Okay.
UBI.
Closer to that, yes.
Yes, and I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I think we need two types of UBI. We need universal basic income, and then we also need universal health savings accounts. Because what makes the free market work? What makes research and development work? What makes healthcare superior is its constant advance and its constant scientific advancements. And we need to economically incentivize people to find these cures and make those advancements. And nothing causes more economic incentive than profit does. But if that profit is coming from the government because it's a, quote, German-style universal healthcare, then you get corruption and cronyism. Whereas if that economic profit is coming from people making voluntary choices in the free market because they've got money from a health savings account that is given by a universal health savings account dividend, okay, well then all of a sudden you're going to notice much better healthcare faster for more people. So universal programs I am down with, okay? We waste so much money on our healthcare system unnecessarily because it's means tested and it's corporatized, that if we simply got rid of the bureaucracy in the middle, gave a health savings dividend and let the free market function, we would do better. Just like if we got rid of the means tested welfare state and simply gave all the people receiving the services from means tested program a straight check, we would shrink the size of government, shrink how much tax burden we have as a people, and actually provide better services for people. A perfect example is our interview that we had with future Representative Guy Yote from Brooklyn 9, where he gave a really interesting stat saying that the average homeless person costs Brooklyn $28,000 a year, which if you do the math, that's slightly over a $2,000 simply cash payment to that homeless person every month. And I think that actually a single mother who's living in the not in the trunk, but living in a van because she's working full time but still can't afford housing would do a lot better providing for her and her children with a $2,000 universal basic income payment than she would with the supposed equivalent of what $2,000 gets you through a means tested bureaucracy.
Also, and we'll kind of maybe wrap up on this idea. Okay. I'll say one thing to decide, generally speaking, while I am for a lot of the German companies, German government style, very little stuff Germans have done with their governance has taken hold in America and other places. Some stuff.
No, I'd say a lot of the early theories have.
So, I'm just saying, last 100 years,
and a lot of liberalism comes from Germany.
Germans can keep their governance over the last 100 years or so. Okay, they can have it. We're talking 100 years ago. We're talking about we're talking about Prussia, right? I'm talking about anyway, or maybe a little bit before that. Anyway, though. To the point, I thought this is interesting. It's one thing we talk about a lot, but I do think it's important to remind, talking about universal health care. I do not believe universal health care can function without a concept of a national body or one health.
That makes sense.
Like, you cannot have a country.
And then death panels start making sense.
No, but you can't have a country where I'm free to smoke cigarettes 5 packs a day until I die of lung cancer and I'm 26, but all of that health care is paid for by everyone else. And you might say, well, why not? We do in America, right? In America, now America is not paid for by the public; it's paid for by. But even then, if you have holes, though generally speaking, you can push this off the taxpayers. But the thing is, it gets to a point where we're all using the same healthcare service. It's like, well, why shouldn't we all be interested in the health of our nation now? It isn't between you and your doctor and you and your insurer. It's between you and the federal government. We're all interested now.
Yeah.
Like I always say, and if we had healthcare pass, I'd ban alcohol and cigarettes. Trust me, I got nothing against alcohol and cigarettes personally. Nothing. Sold cigarettes for years. I'd ban them just because it's bad.
Yeah.
It's one thing when, we have a private system, sort of, but it's a little bit less. It's not one giant public system. People are getting liver issues, heart issues, lung cancer from smoking and drinking. It's one thing. It's another thing when it's on the nation's dime every time, right? It'd be just ridiculous. It'd be like, why are we treating these people we know smoking's bad. We know smoking kills you. Why is the government paying to treat these people?
Yeah.
For doing a thing we know kills you? We know it's a burden. Every pack of cigarettes that gets sold is X amount of dollars the NHS has to cover, using England as an example, right? And those are all great arguments. And I'm a big freedom guy, but I have to say, damn. Yeah, shit, maybe we should like regulate McDonald's and stuff if everyone's gonna have to cash that check, right?
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. It's something that comes up. For example, England doesn't really have this. You can definitely eat bad, fatty foods and live unhealthy. They definitely smoke cigarettes and drink beer in England. Don't worry about it. And they have an NHS. So I'm not saying it has to happen, but I just think if you want a national health service that's functioning better, prevention's the best thing. And prevention for the number one issues, I mean, the best prevention for joint issues, heart issues, is just like, don't do things that make you overweight and unhealthy.
Yep.
Like that would save a lot of money. You would think, why not invest in that? It's one of the nice things you could have in a private system like ours, where you could be like, go kick rocks, buddy. I pay my private insurance. I'm gonna drink a quart of whiskey a day for the rest of my life. I don't care. For the rest of my short life, perhaps. Who cares? I don't know. It just seems to be a functional difference I've noticed, where I could see interest in. Hold on a minute. Suddenly, I do care about everyone else's health, and we're all paying into one program to deal with our health problems. Like, if people have essentially elective health problems, which you could almost argue any complications to smoking cigarettes is essentially an elective health problem. Like, you didn't have to have it. You just chose to smoke cigarettes, so it rose up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to happen to you. And then, interesting. I don't know. Some of you guys might disagree. I just think it's so interesting.
So let us know what you guys think. Let's keep the conversation alive. Unfortunately, now we got to bow out. We got to go. We got to finish our projects here, brother. But this has actually been a really good, really good chat. If you guys can, before you go, can you smash the like button? Really helps us out. Makes the video bump up in the algorithms. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. If you don't follow us on Twitter, Cody is prolific on Twitter. It's crazy. I contribute on occasion, but it's mostly Cody, and kudos to Cody because he is on top of things and is always putting out the latest on Twitter, and it's hilarious following a lot of our content on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. If you want to send us an email, make sure you check us out at problemsolverpolitics.com, where you can also contribute to the channel there. There's a link to PayPal in description. For those of you that haven't been able to join on YouTube, this is Problem Solver Politics. We will see you in the next video.